talking to Mark Chu, a leadership management consultant who's written a new book, Discover Your Leadership Style. We initially told you that it was initially planned to be out in the next month in January, but we've received very good news from Mark himself who says that the publisher says that the book will be out just in time for Christmas. So Mark, congratulations on that once again.
Thank you.
Right, we're finding out about Mark, the different elements, the different characteristics that define a good leader. Mark has identified 4 F's in his new book, which are firmness, flexibility, friendliness, and fairness. We were talking about the first 2 F's in the first part of the conversation. Mark, let's talk about the other 2 F's right now, friendliness and fairness. Talk about friendliness and why is that an important trait in a leader?
Okay, well, when a leader is friendly, you are able to connect to the people because of the fact that people always want you to know something about them. For example, I had a commanding officer back then when I was a platoon commander who actually knew every one of his soldiers by name. One day when he came to a bunk cleaning, she actually went up to one of them and said, "So, how's your rock climbing competition?" I was stunned because I never knew this guy could rock climb, and yet this commanding officer could actually come and find out from this guy who was rock climbing. So apparently he has a file, and he keeps all this information about his soldiers under him, and it's not many people, it's just 500 people. If he could find out each and every information of 500 soldiers, can you imagine if you were leading your own organization of just 7 people in the office or 10 fellows in the office? What have you done to find out more about your employees? What have you done to actually find out more about your teammates? Do you know their birth dates? As simple as that. So as a leader, there's a little bit of how friendly you can get. It means on building relationships, quality relationships that last. And at the end of it, once you know that they care, once you know they know that you care, I think it will be very easy for them to actually build on this base with you.
However, is there a danger in getting too friendly with your subordinates or with your colleagues? A lot of people in management positions especially may think, my friendliness may be perceived as a sign of weakness. There should
people
be
may take advantage of you.
Exactly, my authority may get compromised as a result of that. It's best to maintain a healthy, respectful distance.
True.
How do you reconcile that thing?
That's where you go back to the first characteristics of being firm. Because when you are firm, you're able to understand and know when to do the things correctly at the same time, at the right time. It's like an art. Leadership is an art. It's not about science. You have to balance it sometimes properly at a situation at the right time. Some people, for example, don't know when to praise or when to criticize. Even when the employee is not doing well, they just say, "Oh, it's okay, carry on." But the fact of the matter is the employee needs help. There are some weaknesses that he must improve on within this year. If not, if it gets to grow and continue, he'll end up being a poison or virus in the organization. So if you wanted to go up to them and just say, "Stop, this is where you have gone wrong. May I show you some goals that you can set for yourself now? Achieve it, and you'll be moving on to the right track." So it is the ability to tell them where they have gone wrong, and also sometimes ability to tell them, "Enough, you need to go." That's where firm and friendly really is. It's really an art. You can't say, "One time I applied this, that's it." That's why I say you need to balance it really well.
I think, as you're talking about, it reminds me of simply being a parent sometimes,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You have to be firm, but yet, you have to know your children well enough to kind of know what happened to that day in school and to find out, to be really interested in them. And sometimes you really have to discipline them because you want them to be moving in the right direction or, meeting their own goals, for example. And it really is striking that balance. It's not easy, really.
Speaking from personal experience, very intimately familiar with the issue, Pam.
Right, and that's really interesting. Okay, and finding also, I suppose part of it would be fairness as well, and I think that kind of, would you say, explains itself, so to say. Tell us a little bit more about that, Mark.
All right. Fairness. One of the attributes in the fairness equation or formula that I came up with is the ability to be merciful. One of which is to spend the night pondering first before you make a judgment. Sometimes we make snap judgments at people. And when you make snap judgments, you don't really think, you just do it. But there could be many things beyond what he has done. For example, if he's late, does it mean he's lazy? He could be because he's really helping someone out before he came in. But straight away you go, why are you late? You know, and that builds a very an air of hostility between employer and employee. Sometimes we need to really hold on our judgment first and find out a little bit more. I know personal experience was, as I wrote in the book as well, was when I actually punished a soldier for being rude. And I charged him 30 days, a very long time, after a long period of manning in the first place. After 1 month, my runner came up to me and said, you know, sir, actually, it was because he was feeling really bad at that point in time. His mom was actually going blind. He was upset. And when we approached him that morning, he was really on the wrong side of the bed. But I didn't take the chance to actually find out more. So that's why it's all lessons learned. And I realized from that day onwards, I have to think first before I make any judgments. And when it took on a bigger leadership responsibility as an officer commanding in a company, whenever anything of such bad stuff happens to my soldiers, I will make sure that I would actually think first before I pass a judgment to them. And if they feel that, oh, he hasn't thought enough, actually I did. Yeah, it's really taking the time first. So in the same way, when you're meeting your employees as well, for the first time, for the second time, whatever, get to know them a little bit better. If there's a need to actually find out or to check with others what has actually happened, do so. You know, it's not so simple as just saying you're lazy, you're underperforming. That's not right. You go. It's more than just that. You have to find out a little bit more.
Great. There is a very interesting story behind what led you to write this book, Discover Your Leadership Style. We will want to talk to you about that in just a bit. But first, Mark, do you think, or rather, what do you think defines or separates a good leader from a great leader, or a mediocre leader from a good leader?
People. I've come to realize that you need to build quality relations first, then any businesses. If you're not a people person, there's no way you can actually build any business at all. My current mentor in my work is a people person. He's a connector. He connects people from everywhere. He comes to you, he goes down and say, hi, how are you, how's everything? He's able to connect to everyone. And when he fell sick, all well-wishers came in. And that shows how much people liked him and loved him. And there's one really big thing that I've learned, which is to build the relationship first. Because if you can't build this relationship, the business might be a really good one. The best systems, best operations, everything best. But if the leader is not able to reach out, there's no way he can actually pull everyone, follow me, and they go. No way at all.
If you're not naturally a people person, then you don't have that instinct. Does that necessarily mean that you will never be a good leader?
Well, you can learn. Like I said, you have to be born first, right? So that's back to the question on are you a born or unborn leader sort of thing. So like I said just now, you can't be an unborn leader, but you can actually develop your skills. And it starts really by listening. If you can't listen to the emotions of the people, to their problems, to the things that they want to highlight, there is no way you will be able to advance. So a leader needs to listen. And when he listens, he is able to develop all these characteristics that I wrote about that is actually prevalent everywhere. Just listen and build these relations with the people. And then from there, you would just move on. You would take off like a plane, very smooth.
And you have, listed these 4 things. Of course, we are talking about firm, flexible, friendly, as well as fair, and they seem to apply to anybody. They are the kind of, like you said, fundamental traits. Do you then subscribe to the idea of leadership styles? I mean, different people have different leadership styles that work, depending. Or is it something that, as long as you have these 4, you're fine. You can be a leader.
Well, I mentioned earlier that it talks about the fundamentals. What I've actually done was to bring it up to another level. I've chunked our process to a very generic form leadership by itself. I didn't go down all the way to whether you are a democratic leader or whatever leader. I brought it up so that everyone can use it and apply it in any situation, whether is it in parenting, whether is it you're an officer in the army, or whether is it you are a business owner or student leader. That's why it's able to reach out to people. And as long as you are in any of this leadership organization or team or boys brigade or even sports team, if you can identify yourself with any one of these characteristics and put yourself into that shoe and learn, you will be able to learn something out of it. And that's where the art of storytelling comes about, because I separated the book into fiction and non-fiction, where if you are able to receive or able to read properly fiction, go to the fiction area. If you feel that you can listen more or read more by non-fiction, go to the non-fiction. So that's how I divided the book.
Yeah, it's a very accessible. Yeah, it's a very accessible book with how many chapters are there? There are less than 10 chapters, I think.
That's right.
And it's very reminiscent of Aesop's fables. The way you use stories, use the fictional stories to articulate a particular leadership principle. So it's very readable, very accessible. And once again, the good news is that it will be out by Christmas. So just in time to get it as a gift. I want to end off on this note, Mark. Do you think leaders themselves need leaders as well?
Definitely. Everybody needs a mentor. And when you have a mentor, it's like you have a beacon or someone to help you whenever you are feeling down. Because normally as a leader, you don't tell your employees or your teammates, I'm feeling down. Because they need you to pull them out from any rut. So you can only go up. It doesn't go down. The problem cannot go down. So look up. Find yourself a mentor, and your mentor will help you in any way.
Right, and you're going to find out more about mentorship as well. It's also contained in this book in one of the chapters. And Mark's blogspot address, he has got a blog where he talks about many of the qualities expressed in the book as well, is markliveaei.blogspot.com. That's markliveaei, all one word, .blogspot.com. And once again, his book is Discover Your Leadership Style, out on bookshelves by Christmas. Mark, thank you so much for being with us in the living room today.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you.